G'day! In today's video, I'm going to be replacing a broken camera lens on a iPhone 11 Pro Max. So as you can see, this one's not looking too good at all. Now this will be the long method to do it. There are shorter methods where you could just dig out the glass from here, try to clean the camera lens, glue the new glass on. I don't like that method. Typically with that method, you have more chance of damaging the camera lens itself. So the method I prefer to use is to remove the display, remove the camera module, then remove the glass. So this is what I'm going to be doing today. So I'm going to use a pentalobe screwdriver, remove the two screws at the bottom. Granted, there is a fairly high risk of more damage to it. So you may be able to just remove the glass without disassembling the phone. But granted, I'd probably do it in the case that the camera lens was already, or the camera module was already damaged. So I'll use my pry tool here, in the gap, lift, so in and lift. No matter of working my way around the phone. Do want to just lift it up slightly, don't want to apply too much pressure to the display. Certainly don't want to break one of these, that's for sure. Mostly in now. Now I should be able to rotate it almost like a book and open it from left to right. Do note there is a pre-existing crack on the screen. And we're in. So from here, the first thing we're going to want to do is disconnect the battery. I'm going to be using one of these, if my camera will focus on it. There we go. Now, I'm just trying to remember where the battery physically connects on this one. We're over down here, or over here. Either way, I'll start up this section just here. So right now I do have the phone switched off, but it would be recommended to disconnect the battery as well, just in case you bump the power button while you're working on it. But also, it's never really worthwhile risking removing the screen and then putting it back on with power connected. As the iPhone 6S models, those ones actually had the power and the earth right beside each other on their little pin connector. And I think quite a few people would have shorted out their display on the main board and blown a backlight fuse because of it. There we go. That's trying to escape. So here, should be able to pull this out. Go. Now we want to disconnect 1, 2, and 3. So I'm just digging my nail underneath it and flicking that up.
Hey, Rick.
G'day.
Hey, buddy.
Thank you. See ya. So now we're going to open up two other locations. 1 and 2. Under here we reveal connection number 1 for the battery. Again, fingernail on, hold it up, we're looking like that. Then down this bottom section as well, we're going to have to take this off. And one thing to note as well is I am using heat on this to take it apart. So I have this blue heat mat in the background here. That one is heating the phone up to 75 degrees Celsius, which does make separating the display considerably easier to do. And from here, remember which one it is that I need to disconnect. Where are we? Follow the loop. This one here. Yep, one battery, it's completely disconnected. So as you can see now, here and here disconnected. I'm going to remove this and move it out of the way. Now grab a fresh one and proceed to remove the camera module, which should hopefully be not too many screws, but we'll find out. One. Two. We don't have to be concerned over. 3. And 4. You'd knock out this bracket just here as well. From here I should be able to loosely flip this over. Bingo. So from here it looks like we have one connector, two connector. Again, just using a fingernail, lift and fold, lift and fold. And here we go, and here's the camera module I'll have to be careful of, or at least for mine anyway, as we're broken here. I'll use some tweezers to fold this up. There we go. I don't believe I can remove that module just by itself. No. So it looks like there is further screws on here that need to come out. 1 and 2. Which I would say that there is for the rear-facing microphone. Go. An extra screw over here. Just move that out of the way as well. So with all that removed, I should be able to pry from the side just here. There we go. So now we've got one module removed. Granted, I didn't have to take this off. That is fine. Doesn't really matter too much. Now from here, the real work can begin. So now that's safely out of the way. From here, I'm going to grab some cardboard. And now begins the joy of digging this glass out. So it's probably best to remove everything away from the area. You don't want bits of glass fragment going in there. I'll use a pair of tweezers, potentially some isopropyl, and if I can find it, small Phillips head screwdriver, or flathead screwdriver. That should enable me just to go around the outside and break off the various shards that are there. As you can see, I'll just zoom in a bit closer for you guys. So that did remove surprisingly easy compared to earlier iPhone models. Some of them had to completely battle for ages, where that was not really a challenge at all. Next up, clean off the glue residue. to apply enough pressure to be able to remove it without accidentally jumping out and scraping across your back of your phone. It is a fine line. So far, so good. Now I'll switch to my tweezers, and I just want to run around the outside of it, like that. That's coming along pretty good. Next up, I need to grab my camera lens. So in my collection, I should have 11 Pro Max in here. I can do one of two ways. So you may be left with a couple of choices. One is using the double-sided adhesive, which I'm not too sure if I'll go with it this time. The other alternative is using some old favourite frame adhesive. I think for this instance I'm going to go with the tape. But what I'm going to do after, which I probably won't show on film, is once I've stuck this adhesive down and stuck the camera lens back on, I am going to heat this up quite a bit and put a fair bit of pressure on it, just so it doesn't lift down the line. There we go. Put the ring on there. Rotate it so it's straight on for you guys, and work around this. So the reason why I'm going over it with the flathead is just to stick it down, apply a bit more pressure, and then I'll need to peel the backing off. There we go, that like that. Take the backing off. Yep, that has left it there. So it does have a slight shiny look to it over here, which I know we're good. Here it's a matter of putting the replacement lens on. Get you guys in frame. Okay. And we're in position. Push it down a little bit. I never actually noticed that from the factory. It does seem to stick out just ever so slightly. So now I'm going to apply some heat onto this, quite a fair bit. And when I get back, now I'm also trying to figure out if I've got that around the wrong way, as the shade of that one is slightly different. Get out another one, put it beside it as a comparison. Yes, so I'd say I've got that around the wrong way, which leaves me two options. I'm hoping the adhesive stays stuck onto the phone. No, it's come out with a lens. Luckily for me, I've got a spare. Hopefully, luckily for you too. So I'll just go over that again. Take the backing off. Make sure it's stuck to the ring. Put it in. Go around it. One thing I always recommend too, if you're going to order them, Sorry about that. So it would, as I was trying to say, it's always recommended to buy a couple of these if possible, especially if they're relatively cheap. So now that removed. So do be aware of which side you're sticking downwards, as there is a slight colour difference. So go here, that one's black, and that one's looking like it's a purpley colour. So do take note of which way you're sticking downwards. There we go. Now I'm going to go apply some heat onto here to get that nice and tacky and stick down really well. There we go. So I just applied about 330 degrees Celsius at a flow of about 75 to the back here for around about 15 seconds, and that is extremely toasty. It should mean that adhesive is going very molten. And now from here, we're good to reverse it. So I'm happy with the overall quality of that. So it's a matter of putting everything back to where it belongs. So we'll be putting this back on. Yep. If I can remember the orientation. No. 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 Well, that's handy. I'll skip to something else I can do. Should be able to do. Oh, actually, enough. It will help if I actually grab the correct tray. This one here. Now we'll try and put it in with tweezers, so you can see a bit more of what I'm actually trying to achieve. So I did take out a bit extra than what was really necessary. That's all right. Next up, this one. Go. Now from here, I want to give this one a little bit of a clean. I do fear that the camera itself is already damaged, as it is a little bit cloudy. It does already look to be scratched. Right there. So sadly, this would require an actual module replacement to be fully working once more. But this will at least get the phone back to being, well, semi-waterproof. There we go. So now proceed to reinstall this one. Now you just kind of wiggle around and push down. So with the camera module put back in, there's one particular screw I need to put in prior to putting the shield over, right here. And to connect the connectors up, give them a little wobble and a push, a wobble and a push. Granted, they should mostly line up with their original positions anyway, as they have been in that position their whole life. It does make reassembly some devices a bit easier. Connect. One. This one here should be the one left blank. Everything else should go into its positions. 2. 3. And the final one being at the top. Now these ones I have kind of jumbled up where they're meant to go, or the exact screws. but they are of the same length, so there shouldn't be really any concern there. There we go with that removed. Now got one camera module back into position, and a new lens installed. So from here, it's as if you've just done a screen swap. So bring back your original screen, connect it up. I usually do this one first, but that's just out of habit. Go, connected. One beside it, connected. One below it, connected. Now from here we need to reconnect both parts of the battery. One, don't forget this little one down here. Two. Now we need to put the shields back on. So I'll start at the bottom just because I'm already down here. Line that up. Oop, and bump it, of course. One, two, three, and four. So that is that section now done. Sorry, it was mostly out of frame. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go back up to the main body here. Now we're going to put this little one back on. Now as I'm doing this, I'm quite surprised how many of the screws are actually identical in length, which is very un-Apple. Considering the peak was the 4S and the 4, where essentially long screw damage was definitely a high chance. Where there was a couple of screws that were that long that if you put them anywhere other than where they came from, you would thread it into the board itself and damage traces, rendering the phone damaged. Some places did offer long screw repair, but A, it was fairly pricey, and B, it would more than likely be purely for data recovery. Now, one screw left. Done the same as the camera module where I put the different screws in the different positions. But luckily for us, they are all identical. So from here, you should be able to close it like a book. Fold it over. Push the top in first. Work your way slowly down the side. You can choose to replace the seal if you like. There we go, work down here. Work across the bottom, down the other side. Just squishing it together. Should go relatively neat. Then from there, all that should really be left to do is put the bottom two pentalobe screws in. Now do proceed with caution, don't try to over tighten them, as the heads of these are fairly weak. There we go. So from here, I do suspect I will be needing to replace the camera module itself on this particular model. But those are the steps that you can take to replace the camera lenses in your iPhone 11 Pro Max. Hope this helps you, and see you in another one. Bye.